Well, why don't we start? Hello and welcome to our webinar, Spring into the Office with Nice Ride. I'm John Barbs, Communications Manager for Move Minneapolis. The Nice Ride topic is very timely. Just yesterday, the familiar green classic bikes and a fleet of sleek e-bikes were launched for the season. And Lyft scooters will be following in just a few days. After a dark winter, this spring is hopeful. And that's a very good thing. As vaccination rates increase and we start to emerge from this devastating pandemic, people are eager to get out and ride. Scooting and biking can be done in a safe, socially distanced way. And today you'll learn a little bit about the touchless options Nice Ride and Lyft have incorporated while expanding and improving transportation options in the Twin Cities. We're seeing a steady increase of workers as downtown offices slowly come back. Metro Transit, they just increased the bus and train capacity. Carpools are returning, but that doesn't mean that we need to return to monthly contract parking, road congestion, and filling up the gas tank. Times have changed. Last year, we learned that remote working was successful and is here to stay. Many workers will be coming downtown only 2 or 3 days a week and work from home the rest. The point is, it's time to break from the old 5-day drive alone habit. Now is the best time to start commuting sustainably. There's many choices. You can mix it up, bus or carpool into the office one day, bike the next. Nice Ride and Lyft scooters are part of the commuting and short trip options into and around downtown. And as the pandemic closed gyms and kept people inside, biking saw a massive increase this past year. That surge in biking can be a boost for sustainable commuting and for company wellness programs. Nice Ride, sponsored by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Minnesota, has bikes ready, often just steps away from the office door. So today we'll hear about new innovations like Lyft Pass, and corporate programs that provide employees with customized benefits to help them simplify their way back into the office. Next slide, please. So before we jump into it, I'm going to first tell you a little bit about Move Minneapolis. We're a transportation management organization serving the city of Minneapolis with a special focus on downtown employers and commuters. Our purpose is to reduce transportation emissions. We concentrate on decreasing drive-alone trips. Next slide. We keep track of transportation in the Twin Cities and help people make sustainable commuting choices. We offer events for employers and commuters, advocacy for sustainable transportation choices, and carpool registration. Next slide, please. I invite you next month to join us on May 18th for our signature event. That's the 2021 Move Minneapolis Transportation Summit. The theme is Freeway to the Future or Road to Ruin. This virtual event will showcase amazing national and local speakers who will examine urban freeways and their impacts on communities, public health, equity, and the environment. With the proposed rebuild of I-94 between the two downtowns, this topic is a lightning rod that will impact us for generations to come. A full list of speakers is now available on our website, moveminneapolis.org. And you can be part of this very lively, free discussion on Tuesday, May 18th. You can register even right now. The registration link is available on chat. Next slide. And please know that you're very welcome to ask questions. If it makes sense, we'll even answer them during our conversation, but go ahead and put your questions in chat. There will be a Q&A at the end of the webinar, and we'll try to get as many questions as possible, so don't hold back. Next slide. So I'm very pleased to introduce our webinar speakers. Bill Dossett is the founder and executive director of Nice Ride Minnesota. Will Bissell is the senior manager of strategic partnerships at Lyft Transit Bikes and Scooters. And Miller Nuttall, is the director for Lyft's transit, bike, and scooter policy. Welcome, gentlemen. And Bill is going to kick things off. Next slide.
Hey, everybody. So I was part of a group about 10 years ago that started the bike share system, and we started it as a nonprofit. Excuse me. Our nonprofit operated the system for about 8 years, and then we went through a transition. In that transition, our nonprofit continues to hold the license from the City of Minneapolis and the University of Minnesota and the Park Board. So we are the licensed entity to operate bike share in the city. But we now contract with Lyft through a program agreement to do two main things. So they operate the older green bike equipment that was funded with grants from the federal government and through Blue Cross. But they are also delivering the new system. So you guys, you've seen our e-bikes, and you're going to hear a lot more about them today. And those are both part of that program agreement. So the role of the nonprofit today has changed. We don't actually operate anything. What we do is oversee that program agreement, and it's got a couple of key components. So one of them is an equity plan. So we are working with Lyft and watching what Lyft does to make sure that they're in compliance with that plan. It's also got performance standards in it. So we are really focused on quality and reliability. And so we are monitoring that as well. And then I think the last main thing the nonprofit is doing is it's about collaboration. We are trying to build a future where our right-of-way owners and our transit operators and our for-profit operators are working together. And I think for at least a little while, we have a role in trying to bring those folks together. So that's what I do. The thing that I'm most excited about here this year is Nice Ride for All. So you're going to hear about an expansion of that for all students who get student aid or have student loans. And I think that's going to be a really big thing. So I'm excited about that for this year. So I'm done now, but I'll be around at the end for questions, and I'm going to turn it over to Miller. Thank you.
Thanks, Bill. And thank you, John, and the Move Minneapolis crew for having us here today. We're really excited to talk about our Nice Ride program, and in particular, some of the options we have for companies and some of the downtown employers to help encourage their employees get back on two wheels as they return to the office. I know that's a big topic of conversation right now across the country in Minneapolis. So hopefully we'll provide you with a few concrete tools to empower your folks to do that. As John mentioned, we also have my colleague Will Bissell here from our business team, who will get into some of the nitty gritty about those programs towards the end of the presentation, hopefully leave you with some of those helpful takeaways. I'll start out just by giving a little bit of a high level overview of the Nice Ride system for folks who aren't interested. I assume most of you are familiar with the green bikes and the e-bikes that have hit the streets recently. But just for your information, it's Minneapolis's bike share and now scooter share system. We have 175 docking stations that have been there for several years now, these big metal stations in the right of way where you can park our green bikes or our e-bikes. Recently, we added 200 what we call e-stations, the lightweight blue racks that you can park our e-bikes or scooters to. And have been working to grow that station footprint over the last couple of years with an eye towards serving neighborhoods that aren't as well served by other transportation options. One of the benefits of bike share is it's both very flexible and nimble and can help to fill in the gaps in traditional mass transit systems. That's something Bill and all of us have really put a high priority on. If you go to the next slide, please. These are the devices that I mentioned that are in our system. Again, the green classic bikes that are parked in our main heavy stations, the e-bikes that are pedal assist, so they give you a little extra boost just when you're pedaling, which is a tremendously fun experience. If you hadn't had a chance to ride one of these yet, it's pretty transformative. You don't often see adults squeal with glee that much these days, but when they get on an e-bike, it truly is a transformative experience. And from a more serious, somber policy standpoint, it really helps people make longer trips comfortably on bikes, especially in the heat of summer. It's a great option for people commuting from their home all the way to their workplace, or to a a mainline transit option that's a little bit further away. So they're really great devices. And then we've also added scooters in the last couple of years. These scooters have a lock to device on them, a really smart policy that was implemented by the city to help curb some of the scooter clutter problems that I know were an issue a couple of years ago. So you have to lock this scooter to a bike rack or one of our e-stations around town. Next slide, please. We also have a lot of different membership options for folks, and you can check this out on our website in great detail. But it's meant to provide a lot of flexibility for folks depending on how they use the system. So you can buy a single ride pass if you just want to get from point A to point B, or if you have friends in town. We also have a day pass option. I think what is most compelling for folks, especially if you're trying to encourage sustainable commuting options, is our membership choices. So you buy an annual membership or a 30-day pass, and you get unlimited 45-minute bike rides on our classic pedal bike fleet, and discounts across e-bikes and scooters. So it makes the entire system incredibly affordable. I think this is the best deal in transportation, and encourage everyone to check it out. We have our corporate membership program, and as I mentioned, will get into a lot of detail about how that program works, what the pricing is, and what the incentives are for employers bulk purchasing memberships for their employees. So more to come on that shortly. And then, as Bill mentioned, we're also really proud of our Nice Ride for All membership. This is a $5 annual membership, so it gets you unlimited 45-minute rides across the entire system. This is for folks who qualify for SNAP or other federal benefits, and it's meant to be a deeply affordable transportation option for folks of lower means across the city. We're also really excited to have introduced a whole new set of ways that folks can qualify for this program. So in addition to the federal benefits, a whole host of other means for folks to access the program, including student aid and other approaches. So a great program for folks who are having trouble making ends meet at the moment. Next slide, please. Minneapolis is really at the forefront of innovation in micromobility right now, and it's a city that we are one of our most exciting partnerships around the country for a number of reasons that I'll get into if you could go to the next slide. Not only is it the first city where we've deployed a system that has both bikes and scooters under one membership. So when you become a member of Nice Ride, you're getting the access to multiple devices across the entire system, and the ease of use of accessing this entire mobility ecosystem from within one app, either the Nice Ride app or the Lyft app. And again, you get discounts across the entire fleet when you become a member. There's a new QR code unlock, so it's a contactless solution for checking out a bike. You just wave your phone in front of the back fender and unlock a bike. We've introduced 2,000 e-bikes, as I mentioned, these pedal assist bikes that are really a game changer for how people get around. And to do all this, have opened a new warehouse in Minneapolis, hired dozens more people to help run the system and keep all the bikes operating as safely and smoothly as possible. And then obviously, like everyone else here, we've had to do a lot of adaptations in light of COVID, all of the safety concerns, obviously for our workers, that, the frontline workers who have been in our warehouse, keeping these programs running throughout the pandemic, as well as on the customer side. We implemented a healthcare worker, we call it a hero program, where we basically gave free memberships to folks in the healthcare, public transit, and first responder communities, so that they could get to their jobs when other forms of transportation were either shut down or had curtailed service. So a program we were really proud to implement in partnership with the city. And as I mentioned, the beauty of a lot of this parking infrastructure that we brought to town is not just on the sort of convenient side of having more stations to lock to, but it gives you the flexibility to park multiple different devices and access multiple different devices with the reliability of having these stations placed next to transit stops and at other popular locations around town. I mentioned the lock to scooters, again, just providing a degree of organization and predictability on the street. We think that's so important to maintaining the systems long term and generating goodwill towards micromobility in general. And then we've invested a lot in customer education. These are obviously new programs, right? This is one of the first bike and scooter programs combined under one membership in the country. And so we invested a lot in helping to communicate how the system worked, what responsible parking behavior was, what responsible riding behavior was, to ensure that people were docking parking and riding these devices as safely as possible. If you go to the next slide. We were also really excited to bring real-time transit information to the Lyft and Nice Ride apps in the last year. So this surfaces not only biking and scooting directions and bike and scooter availability, you can now look up real-time transit information. So see if a bus is going to be near you at a transit stop soon. That could be your best, most economic option for getting to where you need to go. So again, just presenting people with as many options as they could possibly want for getting from point A to point B, ideally building out an ecosystem of these options that can rival driving or owning a private car. That's really our orienting North Star. And I also want to just point out here, it's hard to see, but this little flag in the upper right-hand corner, thank you, with the assist from John, is to report a misparked bike. So anybody in the public is sort of an empowered deputy of the Nice Ride system to report if a bike or device is misparked. Again, part of like a multi-tiered strategy that we employ to encourage folks to keep these bikes and scooters parked as responsibly and neatly as possible. I know that's a big concern for a lot of people on this call who are managing limited and tight right-of-way in a downtown context. That's something we definitely design our app and our program with in mind. Next slide, please. The other thing we were really proud to do, we were doing it anyways, but accelerated it when COVID-19 hit, is surface safe routes in the app. So especially for folks who are newer to biking and walking, we obviously want to get as many people on to bikes and scooters as possible as some of the most sustainable modes of transportation, and then meet them with the safest routes to get from point A to point B. So we surface bike lane information in the app, and then a lot of cities, Minneapolis included, shut down, or you could say opened up streets, depending on your philosophical orientation, to people walking and biking during COVID-19. And we surfaced those streets in the app too. So people could get to these streets and know that they have an open air, very large place to ride a bike or a scooter without, with limited or no car traffic. Next slide, please. And then finally, a program that we've been getting off the ground for the last couple of years is Lyft Pink. So this is a mobility subscription service. People pay a monthly fee or an annual fee and get discounts across our mobility options. So that applies to 15% off rideshare. It gives you all the benefits of a full Nice Ride membership. So again, unlimited 45-minute rides. And a cool feature, especially for those of you who are bike riders, we operate bike share systems in New York and San Francisco and Portland and Chicago. These membership benefits apply across all of those bike share systems. So it basically amounts to a national bike share membership. So you can go to New York City, or people can come and visit Minneapolis. If they have a Lyft Pink membership, they can avail themselves of free access to that system. And again, discounted rides on e-bikes and scooters. So before I pass it to Will, I just want to highlight the Nice Ride for All program in a little more detail that Bill mentioned. This really is our pride and joy. It's a major reason why we're so enthusiastic to run these bike share systems around the country, to present a deeply affordable transportation option for people under the best of economic circumstances, but I think especially salient and important when our economy is struggling so much like right now. So the way that Nice Ride for All works, it's a $5 annual membership. Again, it confers all the benefits of a full price membership, just at a lower price point for folks who qualify for federal benefits. It reduces e-bike minutes from 22 cents a minute all the way down to 5 cents a minute. So it makes an e-bike trip very affordable as well. And it has multiple payment options for folks, including people who are unbanked or underbanked, to pay with cash. Next slide, please. We also invest a lot, not only in the technology to enable the offering itself, but in community programs around the city. Obviously, you can't just provide this option for people. You actually have to go out and talk to people, educate them about the program, and most importantly, empower people who are trusted voices within communities throughout Minneapolis to be ambassadors for the program. So our team did a wonderful and scrappy job running this program across the city last year, despite the significant headwinds that COVID-19 presented. You can imagine face-to-face conversations, not always safe, easy, etc. But we still managed to get out in the community within the public health guidelines. And meet a lot of folks. I think we held over 30 events last year, again, bringing this offering to people in the community. This year, we are really excited. We've selected Move Minneapolis, our own host of today's call, to be our partner to run the ambassador program for Nice Ride for All. Couldn't think of a better partner with such deep ties throughout the city to be representing this program. And we think that the potential to grow this program significantly over the coming years is really fantastic, and just really excited to be getting this partnership off the ground. So more to come on that, and I'm sure they'll be calling on all of you to be ambassadors for the program as well, too. Next slide. Obviously, communicating with people in the language that they speak is vital. We take this as sort of table stakes, but make sure that all of our materials are multilingual and able to communicate the benefits of these programs in folks' first language. And then finally, before I hand it off to Will, just wanted to highlight a couple of the other programs that we brought to bear last year and will continue to sort of iterate on over the coming years. I mentioned the Critical Worker Initiative, where we provided free memberships to healthcare workers, transit workers, or EMTs. We also offer discounted rides on Election Day. This is a program we run every year, so folks get a 50% off a ride to a polling place, and that applies for bike, scooters, and our rideshare business. Again, just trying to get a surge in voting as much as possible. And then we also run a jobs access program. So in partnership with Goodwill, United Way, we offer free and discounted rides for folks accessing a job interview and then actually showing up to the first several days of work. Just having reliable transportation, we know, is a major barrier for folks, especially on the lower end of the socioeconomic spectrum. So we try to solve that, at least the transportation barrier that presents itself to a lot of those communities. So we'll continue to invest in these sorts of programs. And if you all have any ideas for potential collaborations or ways that Nice Ride or Lyft broadly could be a partner to you all in achieving your community and social goals, please let us know. We're a resource and we're always looking for those sorts of collaborations. So with that, I'll pass it to Will to dive into our corporate membership program and Lyft Pass.
Thanks, Miller. I'm Will Bissell. It's great to be here today. I'm a partnership manager here at Lyft Bikes and Scooters, and another way that Nice Ride and Lyft are able to support the community and the eventual rebound once things, hopefully start opening back up soon, is by offering multiple ways for local businesses and organizations to subsidize rides for their people. So we've had a lot of interest recently across the country in providing bikes and scooters as a benefit to workplaces as folks are making plans to return to the office. We've also seen these benefits being creatively used as a way for employees across the country to stay active and engaged, while gyms are closed and, we're working from home in front of screens all day long. I can point specifically to the Bay Area, where some of the big tech companies have switched from providing gym memberships to their employees to now providing bike share benefits as either a recreation or a wellness benefit. So really exciting to see. I think there's a lot of momentum coming out of the pandemic and a focus on micromobility. So two of the programs I want to talk about today are our Nice Ride corporate membership program, which offers discounted annual memberships, and then also our Lyft Pass program, which allows rides to be covered on a per trip basis. So just a quick note on terminology. I'm going to talk about employers and employees, but these solutions can also apply to, universities and their students, or organizations and their members or participants, whatever makes sense for you. But just wanted to note that it's not exclusive to employers and employees. So the first program is a Nice Ride corporate membership program. This is a local program specific to Minneapolis, and we run similar programs in all of our bike share markets. Under this program, we offer discounts to employers who want to subsidize a portion or all of a Nice Ride membership for their employees. To justify that discount, we ask that workplaces have more than 10 employees. The retail cost for an annual membership, as Miller mentioned, is $89, but under this program, the cost for a full subsidy is $50. And that includes all the benefits of a standard annual Nice Ride membership. And the cost, if you wanted to do a partial subsidy, would be $30 each, paid for by the employer and the employee. So I do think it's worth repeating that it's $50 for a full year membership for Nice Ride under our corporate program. $50 is definitely less than what one person would spend on a parking pass in a month. So I do think it is a great deal in transportation, and coming out of the pandemic, it's a great way to get people outside and riding. whether they're commuting or whether they are just trying to get around the city. So enrollment in this program is really easy. We'll issue you a unique passcode related to your organization. And to sign up, the employees need both the passcode and an email address from a recognized corporate email domain, which we will code into our system, during your account setup. The employee signs up for their membership and they pay their portion, if any. And then we will bill the company at the end of each quarter for employees who have signed up. So really easy to get started. Under this program, you will know exactly what you are paying for each member. The subsidy that employers pay, it only covers the cost of the membership subscription. So the user is responsible for their own rider fees. So if they choose to take an e-bike, or they choose to ride a scooter, or they want to go on a 4-hour adventure, that is great. But they would be personally responsible for their own fees. So you're not paying more than that subsidy amount that you set up in the beginning. If you want to go to the next slide, the second kind of option that I want to talk about today, it's a product from our Lyft business team. Lyft Pass is the name of the product, and it's been around for rideshare purposes for a little while, but we're really excited because this is the first season when bikes and scooters are also available under the Lyft Pass program. So Lyft Pass is a really flexible way, and it's super easy to get started as a way if you want to introduce sustainable transportation to your employees. So Lyft Pass was designed, one second. If you can, yep, perfect. Lyft Pass was designed in a way, it allows employers to provide all types of transit benefits to their employees. So again, our North Star is giving commuters enough flexibility and ease to give up their car, or at least replace some of their personal car trips. So this tool is fully self-service. It allows employers to drop credits directly into an employee's Lyft account for whatever ride type that you want to subsidize. And the flexibility of this program is really key. So however they need to go, wherever they need to go, you can cover that trip for them. It's a really great entry point for new riders, and it eliminates the barrier of cost and figuring out how, bike share or scooter share works, which, side note, it really isn't that complicated, but it can seem daunting if you are new. So knowing that your bike ride is going to be covered by your company, you're much more likely to see new folks get out there and try it. So if you can go to the next slide, thank you. I just want to talk a little bit about the mechanics of Lyft Pass. It's fully customizable. So the way it works is you will get set up with a Lyft business account, and then you are able to create your own pass products. So all the rules of the pass are configurable. You can decide if you want to include bikes and scooters or just bikes, for instance. You can also layer in a level of rideshare if you want. There's no pressure to do that. It's easy to do just bikes and scooters if that's what you're after. But really the flexibility is key to be able to have it all under one program. You can also decide if you want to provide a recurring benefit or just a one-time instance. So for example, if you wanted to give all of your employees a benefit to celebrate Earth Day, for example, you could drop $20 in all of your employees' accounts, and they can use it to go out and go for a couple bike rides. Or another example, if you want to display your sustainability values as a company, you could set up potential candidates who are coming in for an interview with a $10 bike credit to get to and from, the point of their interview. So it's really easy, and it can be a nice touch point that demonstrates your values on sustainability. The most common program that we have, though, under Lyft Pass right now is a recurring commute pass. So your employees would get a set amount each month that you determine to spend on any combination of bikes or scooters or rideshare, whatever you decide. And you can decide the time of day that they get to use it. Maybe it's only weekdays, or maybe it's only, after 8 p.m. or whatever the rules are that you need to make this work. And it's up to you to really define the specifics, which makes this a really, really great program for a lot of different industries and companies. And then it's up to the employee to figure out how they want to use their credit. So for instance, they might want to, take a car on a rainy day, but they're going to ride a bike in the afternoon, every day that it's not raining. So you set all the limits, all the rules. You can have multiple passes running at once. So there are, big tech organizations in the Bay Area who participate in Lyft Pass and have hundreds of different programs set up under one Lyft Pass account. So maybe they're providing like a monthly bike benefit and a weekly rideshare program if you're staying at the office after 8 p.m. or something like that. The beauty of Lyft Pass, and this is kind of the reason why I get really excited about this, is you're only paying for the trips that are taken. So if you are giving someone $50 a month and they only use $34 that month on bike trips, for instance, you are only paying the actual cost of the trip. If somebody wants to spend above and beyond the credit amount that you've allocated, that is fine too. They would just be personally responsible for any of the ride costs above that credit amount. So it's also just worth noting, one last thing is the reporting functionality of Lyft Pass. So at any time, the admin of your program can log into the dashboard and see how many bike rides have been taken. This is really great if you have workplace sustainability goals. You can track in real time how many bike rides your employees have taken, in a given month. We've seen, internal competitions, and you have the ability to track all that on your end at any point. If you want to go to the next slide, this is just a quick look into the back end. So Lyft Pass, this is like the portal that you would get if you are a Lyft Pass administrator for your organization. It allows you to add it allows you to add the credit amount to your employees, either by phone or email address, or you can provide a link, and it drops it right into their Lyft account. If they don't have a Lyft account, it will encourage them to download and set up a personal account, and then they can take advantage of these credits. And it's fully self-serve. So again, you can see what your redemption rate is, what your spend is going to be for that month. And if folks are using it and how they are using it. So really easy to get started. All you have to do, I can put this in the chat, but you just have to go to lyftbusiness.com and click get started. You'll be asked to fill out a form, and then a business representative will get in touch to answer any questions or set that up for you. So really simple, and it's a great way to kind of get started with bike and scooter benefits. If you're interested in kind of exploring that option for either a return to work or a recreation benefit now that the Nice Ride system is up and running. And I have one more slide. Just want to leave you with a real world example. For Election Day 2020, Starbucks they used Lyft Pass to provide all of their employees nationwide a $75 ride credit to use for transportation on Election Day, whether they were volunteering at a polling place or casting their vote or dropping off a ballot at a drop box. Anything was fair game. But Lyft Pass gives you the flexibility to provide those benefits in one kind of program. So really easy. We're seeing this more and more for vaccine access. A lot of the grocery stores are using it, but it's a flexible program that allows you to deliver a program that makes sense for your needs. So that wraps up what I have, and I will pass it back to John if there's any Q&A.
Yeah, thank you very much. That's a lot of material that you covered, all three of you, and very exciting, especially because we just launched the fleet of bikes yesterday and scooters soon to follow. There had been some questions coming in. I'll start with the first one, and anybody feel free to jump in to answer the question. Is Nice Ride for All available outside of Minneapolis?
Yes, the short answer is yes. We have income eligible programs across all of our systems. They're called different things, City Bike for All, et cetera, options that are specific to the individual system, but we offer the same type of program everywhere.
Another question, can you elaborate on the scooter locking policy? Can they be locked at any bike rack?
Correct. They can be locked to any bike rack or one of the Nice Ride for All, one of the Nice Ride e-stations, but they do have to be locked to an object. You're not allowed to lock them to themselves in the middle of the sidewalk, for instance. That's the kind of behavior we're trying to discourage.
Sure, and then I suppose that would translate also to the e-bikes as well.
Correct. Yeah, they're meant to be locked to one of the stations.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Another question. Does the new app alert users to things like road construction and detours?
To the best of my knowledge, it does not have that sort of real-time construction information in it yet. Something to put on the long-term roadmap, but not right now.
But otherwise, all the trails and
Yeah,
as you had mentioned about the parkways being closed, if they are closed to traffic, those would be designated as locations that are open to ride in.
exactly. Yeah, all the static infrastructure is in the app.
All right, here's another question that just came in. We are thinking of coordinating a social outing for our professional organization that would allow people to try bikes and scooters for 1 to 2 hours. This would be 25 plus people. What would be the best way to purchase a pass for that? And we'd like to get people back downtown to make it fun.
Yeah, I love that idea. That's great. Lyft Pass would be your best bet. You can set up your own RSVP. Well, first of all, we would set you up with an account. You determine who's RSVP'd, who's eligible for this credit. When you're ready to distribute the pass, you would then just upload a CSV of either email addresses or phone numbers, something that identifies the person, and they would get whatever credit you decide drops into their account. And I can chat with whoever asked the question offline about like what the proper credit amount might be for a 2-hour ride or whatever, you're looking to do. But we can figure out a way to make that happen for sure.
That is Jeff LaFarve. So I'm sure that you'll be able to catch that on
Sure.
chat and connect, and sounds like a really exciting opportunity. Let's see if there's any more questions. Please put those in now. Oh, okay. Here's a follow-up. Let's see. This is from the earlier question that Denise Engen had asked. This is, sorry, I wasn't specific enough. What other Twin Cities communities is Nice Ride and Nice Ride for All available in? Specifically, how about Brooklyn Center or Brooklyn Park?
Gotcha. I might have to lean on Bill for my local geography lesson here. Nice Ride is available within the city of Minneapolis. So if those are communities outside of that boundary, they would not be served by the program. But Bill, correct me if I'm wrong, if those are sort of within the city limits.
Nope, those are not. Those are communities that are adjacent to the city. So maybe I'll just address it from the nonprofit's perspective. Our long-term goal is to have shared mobility services, to have many types of services that are available all over the state, not just in the region. But we're not there yet. And we've obviously had some growing pains. So there was a time when the nonprofit was serving a larger area that did include the city of St. Paul. And through the transition, that isn't true anymore. But I can tell you that remains the long-term goal. This industry has gone through a lot of change. So we're pretty much a government-supported industry for 8 years, and then we had massive infusion of cash, but a lot of really cheap bikes and some lousy actors joined the field. And then COVID, and then e-bikes, I guess maybe in e-bikes first and then COVID. So lots of change, and the regional expansion really hasn't caught up, but it's gonna. One thing that I'm seeing now is MnDOT is kind of taking a lead in looking at shared mobility across the whole state. They've hired a new mobility manager focusing on that. And I know as I speak with Lyft that's part of their long-term plan is trying to figure out how to make all that work. So we don't have near-term answers for you, but we can say we're working on it.
Here's a very interesting question. How long does it take to learn how to safely use an e-bike? I've heard that some people are a bit daunted.
I think I'm assuming that the person who asked this knows how to ride a bike in the first place. So assuming that, and they're just looking to go from a pedal bike to an e-bike, it's very quick. It really is like riding a bike. The pedal assist is pretty gentle. I mean, you definitely feel it, but it's not like you're getting on a motorcycle. It's just only when you pedal, it gives you a little extra boost. It makes you feel like you've done a few extra leg reps at the gym. You have some extra superpowers, but it's nothing that's going to shock you. I think it'll just feel like a little extra boost. So I think I know it's always a good principle, it's a new type of bike, maybe start out in a trail with no cars, just get comfortable in an environment where you can feel really safe, getting used to it. But I think usually within minutes, if not seconds, people feel really comfortable.
They are a lot of fun. Here's another question that has come in. What's being done to limit climate impacts of Lyft's micro-mobility operations? For example, electric or hybrid trucks or cargo bikes for rebalancing and battery work, or charging in the right of way?
Yep. Yeah, it's a great question. We have a whole team that's looking at how to improve sustainability across our fleet, whether that's looking at options for purchasing electricity from renewable sources. You probably saw Lyft has a commitment by 2030 to have all of the devices on our platform, including our rideshare business, be EVs. So it's part of our overall mentality is how to make our entire company as sustainable as possible. I think on the all of the batteries on our e-bikes are able to be swapped. So one convenient part is that somebody can go around and shuffle in and out batteries instead of having to move the entire bicycle around, which would obviously extract a more significant carbon toll. So there's some efficiencies we're building in there. We also have, this is maybe too nerdy, but we've invested a lot of resources in real-time routing information for our van drivers. And so people can respond to traffic. They can also design we have this algorithm that designs the most efficient van routes for people to take to access as many bikes as possible that need battery swapping or maintenance. So that seems like a small thing, but it actually adds up to many vehicle miles traveled, reduced by our van fleet in Minneapolis alone. And then across our country, we're talking, tens of thousands of VMT that are saved that way. So really across the board, we're trying to do a lot to improve our carbon footprint.
Very good. Another question that came in, I presume ridership was down last year due to COVID and the late deployment of scooters. What can we expect for 2021? Do we think ridership will rebound? Magic wand.
Let me know when you find out. No, I'm curious to hear Bill's take too. I'm optimistic. I think I'm a natural optimist, but I think the sort of pent up energy that people have to get out of their houses, to return to a degree of normalcy, to enjoy the simple joys of a bicycle commute, and even just get outdoors and do fun things with your family. I think there's going to be a powerful rebound especially once the vaccines reach the 60, 70, 80% of the population and people really start returning to society. I'm really hopeful for the ridership perspective, in addition to all of the other sort of economic and social benefits that are going to come this summer.
Well, there seems to be a tremendous pent up demand that people are really busting out and eager to do something, and especially if they can do it in a safe way.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And we saw that. I mean, obviously, you're right.
So maybe I will.
Sorry. Go ahead, Bill. Sorry, go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
I wanted to jump in on kind of why I am optimistic. So the city of Minneapolis, if you look at hotel room occupancy, got hit harder than any major city in the US. So our hotels were empty. And our city is also a place where lots of the people who work downtown also have cabins and other places they can go, and they went. So when you all saw it, our downtown was empty, the university was empty. And we don't really know who's going to come back. But I believe that we are positioned to see as big a return as any city because we were so far down. And the fact that we still had lots of people riding those e-bikes and a big transition from the green bikes to the e-bikes over last year makes me encouraged, but I guess more than encouraged. I believe we're poised for a breakout year. And I think it's because the e-bikes are that good. These are just great machines and people are going to love them.
You certainly see a lot of e-bikes around town, and especially in this past fall, I noticed that just biking around the trails. So there definitely is a surge of interest there. Here's another question. I know some people have fear or have been hurt on scooters. What should be encouraged for safety, such as helmets, gloves, etc.? Too safe and fun goes away. I don't know what that means, but
the right, it's like Goldilocks level of safety, right? You want to yeah, it's a great question. These are obviously new devices. A lot of people have ridden a bike before. A lot of people have not been on a scooter for the first time. So I think the same principle of trying one out in a sort of contained environment is always a good idea. On a trail with no cars, I think is probably one of the best, or an open streets event, for instance, just so you can get comfortable with how it accelerates and how it moves. Again, here, most people do feel pretty comfortable on scooters after riding for just a few minutes. It's a pretty quick learning curve. But yeah, I think obviously we encourage everyone to wear a helmet whenever they're out there riding. It's not required, but it's definitely something we strongly encourage. And I think following the best practices of riding a bike, of course, riding with traffic, taking a lane if you need to, always finding the nearest protected bike lane, and knowing your city's bike network. Minneapolis has an incredible bike network to take advantage of. So doing some studying beforehand to find the streets that are best designed to accommodate bikes and scooters is going to be your best bet. So those are some general principles. We have a lot of, when you first take a bike or scooter trip in our app, we have a whole series of educational slides to get people acquainted to the devices. But we also know that the two things that actually do drive down crashes are protected bike lane infrastructure and safety in numbers. More people riding actually reduces the crash rate. So a great thing you can do is get your friends to come with you and just get more people on the street on two wheels.
Awesome. Here's another question. Can you connect Nice Ride bikes to cargo trailers for hauling kids or groceries? What kind of baskets do Nice Ride bikes have, or basket attachments?
Great questions. You cannot legally connect a cargo trailer to a Nice Ride bike. You're not supposed to. They're not designed to have those sorts of attachments. I've seen lots of creative things done in other cities, but it's not encouraged. Unfortunately, I think there's a whole interesting world of shared cargo bikes and other interesting solutions out there that are really exciting to think about, but not currently part of the fleet. All the bikes do have baskets. The green bikes have a basket that you can carry, certainly a small backpack or small bag of groceries. The e-bikes have a slightly different shaped basket that's a little bigger and flatter, where you can fit sort of bigger objects in it. But definitely designed to be able to carry some stuff with you. They're really designed with commuting in mind. So understanding most people have a briefcase or a backpack with them.
Another question that's kind of related, but the question is, e-cargo bike sharing, is that on the horizon anytime soon?
Yeah, great question. We don't have imminent plans to bring e-cargo bike solutions, but again, I think there's certainly companies that are looking at it and providing it, and I think it's a fantastic option, especially as we start thinking about just all the use cases where bikes can start to take car trips off the road. I know UPS and Amazon and other big delivery companies are investing a lot in using e-bikes to deliver packages. So that's just one use case, in addition to all the personal sort of commuting and taking kids to school and that sort of thing too.
Great. And let's see if there's any more questions. I think we've got through. Oh, here's another one. Okay. Will e-bike blue docks continue to be deployed, or is the map shown in the app set for 2021? Minneapolis, Richfield border from Portland Avenue to Lyndale accumulated e-bikes through 2020 and would be a great spot for blue docks, a few blue docks. So I take it that those are the new bike docking stations. So this would be on the border of Minneapolis and Richfield.
So maybe I'll jump in there. I've seen that myself on Lindale and on Nicollet, where you do see some bikes that end up right at the border. And I agree that that's a great location. They tend to make it to the opposite side of the bridge, so the bikes end up kind of on the Richfield side. So we'd like to keep them in Minneapolis. But that's something we should definitely look at and will.
Here's another question that just came in. With all the options available from Lyft and the flexibility users are looking for, is there an update available for Lyft government relations to address inclusion of all the options that as a transit benefit?
Yes, I think the person's referring to the Bicycle Commuter Act. Is that the question? But this is a bill that would, so you're probably familiar with commuter tax benefits that folks can, employers or employees can redeem pre-tax benefits. Right now, they can put them towards the cost of transit or vehicle parking. There's a bill from Representative Blumenauer, the progenitor of the Congressional Bike Caucus, which is a very cool institution. And it would basically do a few things. It would add bicycling, bike share, and e-bike related expenses to the set of commuter tax benefits. So employees or employers could put, it's now up to $84 per month of pre-tax benefits towards those expenses. And it works by giving folks flexibility to draw from the parking benefit and put those benefits towards biking, e-biking, or bike share, and spend flexibly across all those different modes. So right now you have to opt into the parking benefit or the transit benefit. If this bill passes, it would allow you to say, take an e-bike to work and cover the costs of your benefit and then take a train home. So just again, like for giving people the flexibility of options and an alternative to car ownership, we think that's a really positive benefit. We've been working really hard on this bill, actually. I think it's just a great incentive for mode shift across the country. It was included in the transportation reauthorization bill that was passed through the House last fall, which is a pretty major coup. It wasn't necessarily going to happen, but I think we sort of pushed it over the edge in coalition with the League of American Bicyclists and a lot of the national bike advocates. And it is, I would say, strongly in the running to be passed as part of Biden's infrastructure plan that I'm sure you've heard a lot about. So I think the prospects are good. It's related to taxes, which means it can included in the reconciliation bill that you might have heard if you've listened to too much NPR like me recently. But that's the bill that can pass with 50+1 votes in the Senate. So it has a lot of different pathways to getting passed this year, which is really exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Here's another question. This is in regards to the app. And one of the viewers had gone to take a look at the app and is trying to figure out, they don't see how it shows where the stations are located in relation to his location. Can you address that?
I want to make sure I understand the question. It normally shows your location in the app, and then it has a map of the whole city with little dots for where the stations are. So it should be showing where your nearest stations are, but Bill, I don't know if you have a.
So I think that question was about the southern border of the city. And the person's noting that we have some stations in that area. We have some of the large stations, mostly along the chain of lakes and the Minnehaha Creek, and at some community centers down in that area. But we have not had a major expansion of the lightweight stations, these blue racks south of 50th Street yet. And so they're correctly noting that there aren't a lot of them down there. So there's two things going on there. So one is these are new and we haven't been able to cover everywhere yet. The other is that doesn't mean you can't park a bike there. So you can park an e-bike anywhere you can lawfully park a bike. So at any bike rack, and that includes anywhere in the southern part of the city. It does cost you an extra $1. So what Lyft needs to do is look at the patterns where people are parking And when we see a lot of people parking in a neighborhood, particularly in a commercial district, then we want to get one of those lightweight stations or a heavy station there. But we probably never will see lots of them in areas that are all single family homes. In areas that are mostly single family, you're probably going to have to pay that extra buck if you want to park really close to your house.
Wonderful. Well, we can probably squeeze in one more question if you put it into chat right now. Otherwise, I think we're going to wrap up. We're almost out of time. And I'd really like to thank our panel, Bill Dossett, Will Bissell, and Miller Nuttall from Nice Ride and Lyft. This has been very, very informative. And again, everybody is very eager for the new season to hit. We've been really blessed with beautiful weather, so lots of people biking out there right now. And well, we're getting some great compliments, so that's great to see in chat. We will be, we have recorded this. We're going to be putting this out on our YouTube channel, and we'll also have a link available on our website. So watch for that. We'll also have more information about our upcoming summit on May 18th. And you'll be able to register for that for free as well. Otherwise, yes, thanks again for great information, and we'll look for you out on the bike trails.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Take
Bye.
care.